Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salatu wa salam al Mustafa. This is the first reflection that will deal directly with the contents of the book Instruction of the Student by Imam Zarnuji al-Hanafi. Chapter 1, entitled The Nature and Merit of Knowledge and Learning. There's a brief point that is to be made here, and that is that each chapter, in my understanding of the text, from my reflections upon the text, and from my reading of the text, each chapter serves as a summary for the contents of the chapter. So that if the student of knowledge were to create an index, and that index were to gather all of the chapter headings, and then the student of knowledge were to memorize that index, the student of knowledge would essentially memorize the core themes of the book, and the contents of the book will serve as an explanation of those themes. This is something that is common, that we find that the ulama in the past, that they would index their books by chapter headings, or the index of a text would serve as a summary of the text. This is not always the case, but it is quite often that one found that methodology used by the ulama or employed by the ulama as a mnemonic device for the student of knowledge. Because in the past, texts were memorized and then their contents were digested from memory. A student of knowledge would recite a text from memory and it would be explicated by a teacher. So the first stage would be that the student of knowledge would memorize the text. I mean, that's a point, to be considered, but today, if we ask students of knowledge to memorize, we find that many of them have difficulty in memorizing. And our focus should be in memorizing the Quran and the Sunnah anyway. Especially those of us who come to be students of knowledge at a late age. Time is best spent in memorizing the Quran and the Sunnah. And for some of us, that is difficult a task as can be. So there definitely would be frustration to be experienced if one's memory is weak, if we're trying to memorize everything that we're coming across. So then we have to be systematic. That's one point. The second point is this: that the ulama, they made seeking knowledge easy, and that's why you find that there were mnemonic devices that were used. And the third point is that the ulama considered understanding as an outcome of digesting. First we digest something and then we try to understand it. Today we do the opposite. Rather than digesting, we come to the table as a critic, meaning that we come to the table claiming understanding of a topic without having understood it in the most sound of ways. So we critique before understanding, before comprehending. So that's a point to be understood and a point to be reflected upon. We will continue this reflection in the following session.